Hi everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope that you all are doing fine. Today we'll continue our lessons from verbs. We have two more lessons left to complete under the chapter verbs from the grade 7. First, you have to log in using the a+com. Okay, click on your name, then go to language art. You click on the chapter verbs, then grade 7. And our last two lessons would be from identify transitive and intransitive verbs, identify linking verbs, predicates, adjectives, and predicate nouns. Okay, so first of all, we have action verbs can be either transitive or intransitive. So you have to note it is either transitive or intransitive. Okay, so when an action verb is transitive, it is followed by a direct object. So when it is transitive, you have a direct object following it. A direct object is the pronoun, noun, or noun phrase that receives the action. So when it is transitive, you have direct object, direct object. Then direct object gives us pronoun, noun, okay, or noun phrase. So when an action verb is transitive, it follows a direct object. A direct object is the pronoun, noun, or noun phrase that receives the action. To find the indirect object, you have to ask what or whom the verb is acting on. So what or whom the verb is acting on to find the direct in yeah, to find the direct object, okay? So Joanne walked her dog. What or whom did Joanne work? So that's what you have to ask, what or whom. So to find the direct object, ask what or whom the verb is acting on. So what or whom did Joanne walk her dog? Okay? The verb walked is transitive in this sentence because it has a direct object, had dog. So you have to note that the verb walked is transitive in this sentence because it has a direct object, which is had dog. When an action verb is intransitive, in, it does not have a direct object. So if it is intransitive, no direct object. Joanna walked around the block. Now, what or whom did Joanna work? There is no direct object to answer the question. So, if it is intransitive, it does not have a direct object. Okay? So, Joanne walked around the block. Who did she work, or whom did she work? We don't know. Okay? So, the verb worked is intransitive in this sentence because it does not have a direct object. So, for the sentence to be transitive, it needs to follow a direct object, or it needs to have a direct object. Okay? Okay, so we have when an action verb. So when an action verb is followed immediately by a prepositional phrase, it is always intransitive. So when it is followed by prepositional phrase, so take note that for the transitive, it is direct object. And for intransitive, it is prepositional phrase. So prepositional phrase. Okay? So the noun pronoun or noun pronoun is a prepositional phrase, is never a direct object. Okay, so for the intransitive, the noun or noun phrase is a prepositional phrase, it is never a direct object. So linking verbs are always intransitive. So when you have a linking verb, it is always intransitive. The noun, pronoun, or noun phrase that follows a linking verb describes or renames the object. It does not tell whom or what the verb is acting on. For example, okay, so we have Joanne was a nurse for 25 years before her retirement. Now, the verb was, okay, we have was here, is a linking verb. The noun phrase and nurse renames the subject Joanne. Okay, so it renames it. Okay, so let's look at some examples for the transitive and intransitive. Okay, so for transitive, we have an example. It could be she kicked the ball. Okay, so now kicked here is transitive. Okay, and the ball is the direct object. Okay, so the action of kicking is done to the ball. So if you ask what is being kicked or whom is kicking or what is kicked, it's going to be the ball. Okay? And then for intransitive, we have an example. Remember that intransitive. Okay? So intransitive does not require a direct object. Remember that it only has like the prepositional phrase. Okay? So for example, we can have he laughed. And then you can ask the question, he laughed at what? What did he laugh at? There's no direct object. Okay? So you see that the direct object is like what or whom did he laugh about or laugh off or anything, but it doesn't have. Okay? So that's what makes it like intransitive. So you see that there's no object receiving the action of the laugh. Okay? So that's how we can differentiate like intransitive and transitive. You can also use this example. You can say she kicked. Okay, what did she kick? What's going on? We have no idea, right? So we can have more examples like for transitive, right? We can have she reads the book or they built a Okay, so you see that it's a complete sentence. She reads the book. Now, what does she read? The book. So that's the direct object. And then you say they built a house. What did they build? A house, direct object. And when it comes to the intransitive, so we have the sun shines. There's no object receiving, so we don't have a direct object to receive this sentence. Or we can say the dog barked. So there's no object receiving the action of barking. So you can before you can say, "Oh, the dog barked at me," and then it becomes like a transitive verb. Okay. Okay. So moving on to the next lesson, we have linking verb. A linking verb is a verb that connects the subject to an adjective or noun in the predicates. Okay, so remember that linking verb is a verb that connects subject to adjective, so to adjective or noun in the predicate. A linking verb does not show action, so linking verbs are not action verbs. Okay, we have Washington D.C. is home to the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. Now, predicate adjective describes the subject. So when you have predicate adjective, it describes subject. And then a dark chocolate cake that Julie baked tasted incredibly rich. Okay. Now, a predicate now identifies or renames the subject. If you have a predicate now, it can either identify or rename the subject. For example, we have my mother is the most driven. So my mom is the most driven salesperson in her division. Yeah. The most common linking verbs are form of the verb to be. So other linking verbs include appear, become, feel, grow, look, remain, seem. So other linking verbs include all of this. Okay? So remember the forms of linking verbs are to be verbs, but other linking verb includes all of this that has been written here. Okay, so we have some verbs can be used as either linking verbs or action. So some verbs are action verbs, some are linking word. It's like they're connecting words together or sentences together. Then Jenna grew tired as the evening wore on. Here, grew is a linking verb. It connects the subject Jenna to a predicate adjective that describes it. So we also have Jenna grew tomatoes in her garden last year. Okay. Here, grew is an action word. You can tell it's not a linking verb because it shows action and because the noun in the predicate doesn't identify or rename the subject Jenna. So there's a difference between the predicate adjective, okay, and also a difference between an action verb and a linking verb. There's definitely a difference. So let me know in the chat, do you have any questions? Okay, so no questions. We will move on here. Okay. So this is to identify transitive and intransitive verbs. So select the action verb. If the verb is transitive, also select its direct object. Okay, let's see. Okay, we will just move to the test. You can share your answers if you know. Okay, so we have select the action verb. If the verb is transitive, also select its direct object. We have Olympus Mons, a massive shield volcano on Mars, covers an area about the size of Arizona. So look at it, different part of it was highlighted. So you have to decide, is it the first or the second one? Is it an action verb or not action? So between this, what is the right answer here? So this is wrong because ignited is supposed to be also highlighted, okay? That's good. Action verb is ignited, exactly. It is a transitive verb because it has a direct object, okay? A national about race relations. So if ever you go on with the test and then you realize, oh, I don't know this, you can just always scroll down and review again the tutorials. Okay, so English author Daniel Day Lewis won several major awards for his principal role in the film Lincoln. So, what is the right one here? So, one, because one is an action verb, it has an action there, a direct object as well. Okay, so for this one, filleted the tuna. Okay, so we have here. So on its maiden voyage, the RMS Titanic collided with an iceberg in the freezing waters of the North Atlantic. So, what do you think is the right answer here? So the first one is correct. Okay? So this one, just 10 minutes of moderate exercise elevates brain activity. Elevates. Elevate is an action word, so you need to add it up once it is there. On July 25, 1911, Daredevil Bobby Leach famously plunged over Niagara Falls in a steel barrier. What do you think? Plunged or famously? So, plunged. Okay? Okay, so Arthur Miller's 1953 play, The Crumble dramatized the Salem witch trials. So, which one is the correct one? So, when you're selecting, you have to select it up with all the objects, everything, you select them together. So, yeah, that's it for this particular transitive and intransitive. You can tell me on on the chat. Do you have any questions just for a few minutes? So we go on to the last lesson, which is identify linking verbs, predicate adjective, and predicate nouns. Test. Okay. So select the linking verb and the predicate noun or predicate adjective. After 3 days of careful deliberation, the jurors remain undecided about their verdict. What is it? Okay. All right, so we also have the Forbidden Island of Nihao, a private island with few inhabitants, is geologically the oldest of the Hawaii Islands. So, what do you think is the right one now? So you have to select the predicate now as you select the linking verb. Okay? The American black duck appears nearly identical to the female marlin, but with one important difference: the absence of white bands on the American black duck wings. So, appears, remember that appear was a linking verb. Okay? During those dog day during those dog days of summer, the air conditioned library became our favorite refuge from the relentless heat. So, refuge. So, due in part of the influx of gold seekers during the Kilogdic gold rush of 1869 to 1897, Seattle became a thriving metropolis. So became what? Thriving. So next one. After weeks of unending rain, the sensation of morning sunshine on Pedro's face felt invigorating. Okay, so all right, so that's it for like the linking verbs. Okay, if you haven't done this, you have to make sure that you complete this lesson. There are a lot of lessons under this chapter verbs that we've done from all our last classes from last week up until today. We've tried to like have this step by step up until the last. So if you've not done them, you have to make sure that you do them. You have to also listen to the live, or if you still need help after this, you can click on this chat button here, then you can go and you can get more help. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions before we finish for today. Do you have any questions? Okay, so if you have no questions, we will finish here for today. You have to make sure that you complete this lesson, okay? All right. Do have a good night, everyone. Take care of yourselves and see you soon. Bye.